Let's head now to East Africa, where Kenya's defeated presidential candidate Raila Odinga says he will not accept the election outcome. On Monday, it was announced that Deputy President William Ruto had won the poll. Well, I'm joined now from Nairobi by Raquel Muigai, senior journalist at the Kenyan news outlet Africa Uncensored. Raquel, thank you so much for joining us. So we're seeing that the election results are even being disputed by 4 out of 7 of the election commissioners. How can Kenyans be sure this poll was free and fair?
Thank you so much, Sally. It's actually not the first time that this is happening in the country, where we found that the Independent and Electoral Boundaries Commission or the Electoral Commission has had a dispute. So there's a divide between them. We've seen this way back in 2007, where this particular thing happened. We've also seen it back in 2017, and even now. But the biggest question will be, how do you get to differentiate the law and the politics that arises? Because given that the IEBC is one organ that can be quite politicized, but that is one thing that the court will have to decide, because on one end of the divide, we have the 4 IEBC commissioners who are pointing out that there were issues to do with the tallying of the votes, and they bring up arithmetic issues, which clearly looks as if that's the biggest problem, because that is what they've pointed out at this point. And from one end, someone might say that they might appear to be commissioners who are allied to the other contender, that is the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition, that is Raila Odinga. On this other hand, we do have the IEBC chair, Wafula Chebukati, who's the national returning officer, who might look as if he is part and parcel of the just recently announced president-elect, but constitutionally he has the mandate as an individual to tally and declare the results. So up until this point, it is not really clear what the issues are that they're bringing forward. And given the political scenario, the political history that we've had, this is also not the first time. So everything, the back rests on the court to have to differentiate law and the politics that surrounds IEBC. And basically, if there's any evidence put across, that will taint the entire process that IEBC has really tried to maintain its integrity and its credibility.
Has the Odinga family actually lodged a petition at the Supreme Court, which I understand they only have 7 days to do so?
At the moment, not yet. Right. Only preparations have taken place this particular day, where we did see that the court, the side of the court, actually put aside an entire ceremonial room, which was previously a ceremonial room in one of the high courts in Nairobi. That's the Milimani Law Court, where this particular petition will be heard. So they do have within 7 days to actually do that the latest being 22nd, and which the 7-judge bench will get to hear this particular petition.
Right.
And within 14 days announce the outcome, whether we'll have to do a rerun or we'll have to retally the votes. And if at all it does get to a rerun, then we do have within 60 days for another election to be held. This will not be the first time, because as a country we went through that back in 2017, and therefore that means we will have, if that arrives, then we'll do have a rerun in October.
I mean, it's fascinating politically, because I was reading up about it. So William Ruto, he's the current deputy president, however, not supported by the current president, Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta is backing the opposition leader, Raila Odinga. And Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta have before faced off in presidential battles. I mean, you couldn't make this up. How does it happen like this? And is this sort of political nuance explaining some of the problems we're seeing now?
It's one thing to look at it that way, Sally. I mean, these are two people who, like for President Uhuru and Raila Odinga, these two were enemies before, politically speaking, and they will never meet eye to eye. And in 2000, beginning all the way from 2002, where Raila Odinga was the kingmaker, and he made the late President Mwai Kibaki to get into power at the time, Uhuru Kenyatta was the contender at the time. In 2013, we did have, in 2007, we did have Raila Odinga facing off the incumbent who was President Mwai Kibaki at the time. And they did not meet eye to eye again with Uhuru Kenyatta. It's been like that ever since. But however, this particular year, we did expect that Raila Odinga having the backing of an incumbent president, as well as what we have referred to here in Kenya, the state machinery and the state. Therefore, a majority of the people thought definitely at this time he would maybe win the elections. And given that for the last five or so elections that Raila Odinga has participated in, he's always mentioned that the elections have rigged him out.
I mean,
he's not confident in the talent of the vote.
Five times unlucky. But very quickly, I have to ask you about violence. We've heard about sporadic incidents of violence, even some election commissioners involved. Briefly, Raquel, how serious and how worrying is the situation around violence post the poll?
In comparison to the previous years, we've really had a very peaceful election, and one or other journalists will term it as a boring election, per se, because during this time we've seen Kenyans, even after the announcement of the presidential election, we did see a number of Kenyans coming out to the streets to actually celebrate the results. On one end, we did see others who came out to sort of have or hold a demonstration that did not even last more than 10 minutes. And therefore, it has been one very peaceful election, even after the announcement by Raila Odinga that he was going to follow up every legal and constitutional channel that there is to ensure that this particular elections are annulled or the results are annulled. We have seen a lot of people going on with their normal lives. And this is to say that Kenyans have gone through this entire process. Looking back at 2007, where we had bloodshed, we lost a lot of lives, more than 100,000 people were displaced. Kenyans would not want to go back there. Coming from 2020, where there was the COVID-19 pandemic, the high cost of living, which has been one greatest burden for Kenyans during this particular year, no Kenyan really wants to go towards that side. So it has been one very peaceful election.
I mean, that is something really good to hear. But of course, I suppose we wait to see the next move from Raila Odinga, whether in fact he does go to the Supreme Court and lodge that complaint. Thank you so much. Fascinating insights. Raquel Mwiga, senior journalist at the Kenyan newspaper Africa Uncensored, coming to us live from Nairobi this evening.